Welcome to In the Middle of It with Jess and Paige, two friends in real life with Jesus, inviting you into the middle of our everyday conversations. Episode 8. Here we are. Thank you so much for joining us on this ride. If you are listening to this episode, it means that you've probably listened to a few others. So we're so grateful that you would give us the time and space to listen in on these conversations that we are having. I pray that they are blessing you and sharpening you, because that is the ultimate goal. In today's episode, we are going to emphasize the significance of trusting God's daily guidance and prioritizing what truly matters. So that comes in everyday situations, and I am excited to dive in with you. Enjoy.
That's where you are now. You'll be right in the middle. You'll be right in the
middle. Welcome back to In the Middle of It. Another conversation. Paige, what you in the middle of these days?
What am I in the middle of these days? Well, we just started flag football. The boys, we're in fall. You talked about this last time. Sports have started. They're still doing parkour. We're doing co-op. We're
Life. Jobs.
Yep, jobs. Jody and I were just gone last week. That was interesting. We had not, since having our baby Aletha, she's 9 months old as of yesterday. She's so cute. We had not left her overnight.
When I saw you had, I was amazed. I thought you were taking her with you.
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, she'd be great. And I'm in the middle of also, like, I had wanted to nurse for a year, and then I just noticed my body was, like, starting to slow down with producing milk for her. And I think it's because I have just gotten busier. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I have been very much on top of, like, not eating a lot of processed stuff and, like, whatever, but I probably haven't been getting as much protein as I needed consistently. Anyways. And so then we left for 4 days, and, like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
I just think that's okay.
I do too.
That is real life sometimes.
It really is. And I feel really at peace with it. I feel really good about it. But, because I'm like, we did 9 months, and that was like...
There's such strong opinions around this topic, and...
I don't need them. I
just feel like I want to say on your behalf, like, please don't email them in.
Yeah, please.
We don't have an email, so it doesn't matter.
You couldn't even try to email us. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm in the middle of... that's a transition that just happened, because that's a big difference for Aletha. But we just left, and that was the first time we'd been away from the kids, all 4 of them, in a long time. That was really good. It was for Jody's work, but I felt the presence of God, like, the whole time. It was really powerful, and it just made me more committed to, like, the beginning. I don't know when it was, but recently, I've probably in the past just, like, month, I may have said it on the last podcast, but I've really kept on hearing the Lord just being like, he's ordering me, he's ordering me, he's ordering me, and not like, I'm commanding you to do this, but he is just prioritizing. He's just making me value the things that he values, and like, let go of what he doesn't care about, you know? And it's just bringing, I think the fruit of that is bringing peace, but then there's also moments, of course, that I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling peace here, and it's because I'm probably, like, stressing about something that doesn't actually matter, or trying to, like, deal with something that he's like,
just let that lie.
Just let that lie over there. Like, there's even something that happened with work today before I came to your house that, like, I wanted to get riled up about. I mean, I wanted to get riled up about it. And I had, like, in the natural, I had, like, a lot of reason to. And the Lord, in his ordering me, I just feel that, like, he was like, like, just doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, yeah.
It just, you don't need to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
this is that Zen thing that I've been talking about.
Yes, it's totally that. And I always have told people, like, we've done student ministry for a long time, and so when students are about to go off to college, and a lot of times they don't know, they're like, I don't know where I want to go, or what I want to do, or blah, blah, blah. And I've always been like, you need to like take this whole like, God's calling me to this college. I just like take that off the table for a second. Not because I don't think God is or is not, but the steps of the righteous are ordained by the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I believe that when you're walking in right standing with the Lord, you tend to just start walking towards him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're stewarding your heart, guarding your heart, you tend to just start walking in the direction that he's like, you end up finding yourself
100%
doing what he's asked, what he's called you to, being, you know what I'm saying, being fulfilled,
Yes.
like being in relationships that are fruitful. If you are stewarding just this today, because Jesus constantly talks about, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough worries of its own.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to borrow tomorrow's worries for today.
Mm-hmm.
Let those be tomorrow, and you just focus on today.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I feel that scripture. I'm like, okay, I'm trusting that each step, because it's like I can see this like little glimmer of a picture, but it is like so blurry of like where he might be taking us, and the right now does not look anything like that over there. It feels like there's 50 years between now and there, but with the Lord, it could be 5 or it could be 12 months, or it could, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you don't know what God might do or what he will do. So it's just like the ordering and the trusting that today's steps.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Today's steps are right, and that like just me taking care of today. So even me like trying to look at my week and be like, I'm trying to say like, it looks like the Lord, I feel like has given me like a game plan for like, okay, this is what every day needs to hold in it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because like I am a mom of 4, homeschooling, keeping up with co-op and sports schedules, and my husband works from home and owns his own business, and we're also in full-time ministry, and like we're just like juggling a lot of things. So it's like I did feel like there's strategy on like these are what today hold. These are what each day holds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like the way it gets ordered is like a flow of like trusting the Holy Spirit with the flow, you know, and like being like, okay, today's steps. I'm gonna worry about today's steps. And tomorrow's can be totally different. But it's meant that I've had to say no to a lot of like really great things. Like our co-op offers, there are moms who are organizing field trips every 2 seconds.
And they're amazing.
They're really great field trips, and not just like
can't go on all of them.
I just can't. There's one today. There was an ecology field trip. Sorry, I was thinking I was saying it wrong, but no. And for the 3rd to 5th graders, and it would have been great for our whole family to go. It was super cheap and it was fun, and I was like, nope, can't. Not did I have the time?
Could have made it happen.
Could have made it happen.
I think that's one of our like superpowers that actually can zap us.
Yeah, could have made it happen.
The ability to make it happen.
And the Lord's like, in this season, he's like, no, don't. Like anything that's stealing my energy, I feel the Lord ordering me to not. So like, I mean, I was for a long season like deleting social media off my phone. Like I only had it like 1 day a week, and I feel like he's asking me to go back to that.
I just deleted it off mine.
Did you?
Yesterday.
Yeah. I just feel like it's stealing my energy.
Yeah, I just don't have enough margin. Like there's seasons that I have a lot more margin.
Yep.
And my margin's thinner this season, and I keep asking him if I've made it too thin. And I feel like he's just saying no, but I'm going to be really picky about what we do with that margin.
Yep.
Like it's got to be a time to refuel you. And
Yep.
so when I have extra margin, scrolling through Instagram's not an issue.
Yeah.
I just don't have,
I don't have things
right now.
I don't have accounts that I follow that are like ungodly and like.
Yeah. No, I actually, it motivates me.
Yeah, me too. If you do have accounts like that, you need to get away from social media. But if you don't, it's like, it's not like that. It's just more like, I found, and it was like the Lord just in the past like week has been like, the way I'm ordering your heart and your life, like this is stealing energy from you, which means that you have less to give to Josiah when he's asking me for attention on this thing, you know what I mean? Or Magnolia when she wants me to just sit and watch her do a puzzle. She does not want me to touch a single piece of the puzzle.
Just watch.
She just wants me to watch her do it because she's so proud that she can.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so sweet. But the temptation is if social media's on my phone, we're human and it's built to be addictive. And so it's
our world is right now constantly training us how to multitask when multitasking is a myth.
A myth. And I realized that's another thing that I felt like that he just whispered to me was like, you are never not multitasking. If I'm in the shower, I'm listening to the Bible. Do you hear what I'm saying? If I'm like riding down the road, I'm like, oh, I probably need to catch up with this person who like said this mark at me.
Yeah, you're using every bit. I literally had this thought on the drive home from co-op this morning because I have 2 Marcos that I want to listen to. I want to connect with those friends. And then I also have a nonfiction audiobook that I want to listen to because tonight I want to read my fiction book. And
and you've set a goal. And you're like, I don't get to do that until I do this. Yeah.
And I've abandoned that goal. So I've got to get back on track. But all that, and I was like, I just can't. I just my brain needs every drop of this. Margin isn't margin if we feel it.
Margin isn't margin if we feel it.
If we just feel it all the time.
I think that's what's doing. And people have said to me, like, how is it having 4 kids? Because it's a new addition to our family. And because I think that a lot of people of like 3+ children have been like, oh, well, once you have 3, like, you kind of like, yeah, whatever is 1 more or 2 more, whatever. That's not been my experience. And it's not been like because I'm just overwhelmed by it. It was like, I think because our youngest, when we had 3, was 4 when we had our baby. And so we've gotten into a rhythm where like, and I'm a big proponent of like having your kids become independent. Like, I'm not going to do for you what I know you can do for yourself. If you're having an emotional day and you're like, Mom, can you just please help? That's different. But like, I'm just a big, like, I'm not going to do for you what you can do for yourself.
You got into the right woman.
Yeah. So
if you're doing their laundry, packing their lunches.
I don't do any of that. Even Magnolia, my 4-year-old, makes her own sandwich and packs her own lunch. Now, Levi didn't do that at 4 years old.
Right.
But she does because she wants to.
She has older siblings.
And she has older siblings. And then what's so cool is like they help her when she has a moment and she needs help. So it's like good for everybody. I'm sorry. I was so excited because I I sat there with Aletha and like gave her a bottle and put her to bed all when my kids were getting their lunches ready, like Monday night.
Glorious, right?
It was incredible.
John and I went for a walk last night, and when we got back, their lunches were completely made, packed in the refrigerator. Yeah. This morning, and I was like, I love this stage.
And then you know what you don't do? You're not arguing with them about what they're eating.
Then when I opened it this morning to put their ice back in and saw what they packed, and there was grapes, chips, a protein, I was like,
let's go.
Woo! Reaping and sowing, girl.
Anyways, why was I saying that about independent? I want my kids. My experience with 4 kids. I think because Magnolia was 4 when I had Aletha, there's a bigger gap, right? Because she's a little bit older, which wasn't intentional. But my experience has been that I think that when I had 3 kids, I had some margin. You know, my life was full, but it wasn't like so full that I was like.
Well, your youngest was potty trained.
Yeah.
Now you're back to
diapers and all that
stuff. So like all those little milestones create margin.
Yep.
And then you just like
go back and start over. Yeah. So like I was like, okay, I've said 4 kids means I thought I didn't have margin before. Apparently I did. Because now every solitary moment of my life is accounted for. But I feel it's so sovereign of God. Like, I just so trust the Lord's plan because for some reason right now, at this season in our life, not a day before, not a day after, He wanted us to be ordered. Do you know what I mean? Like if Jody and I are both pretty free-spirited. And we laugh all the time because we're like, when we don't have kids with us, we're like, is this what people just like do? Like, who knows what we'd be into? I mean, truly, who knows what we'd be untethered, just like, I mean, like, probably having the time of our lives, but we're having the time of our lives right now with these kids, and it's, but it's been like, it's just right now He wants us to be ordered, so like, I'm experiencing that, and I'm grateful for it because it's sovereign of God, because there's something that I know that He's like, restraining me for. He's like he's just, I feel like every limb has a weight on it. So it's like but I'm not experiencing like frustration by it. Does it make sense? Like I could be frustrated.
You're not in burnout by it.
I'm not.
It's not burning you out, but it is requiring your full tank of gas every day. But
I think it's because in seasons before this, it was probably 2 years ago whenever I started talking to you about like the Lord was dealing with me on like what my my formal belief system versus my actual belief system. You know, like what do I say I believe and value versus what do I actually practice and value? And the Lord started getting those things lined up. You know, and I think that if that was not lined up, I would be frustrated right now.
He does do things in a very intentional order.
Yeah.
Which you only see in hindsight.
You only see in hindsight.
In hindsight, you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like if 2 years ago, did not start saying, no, like, I actually really want to prioritize my health.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really want to actually, like, value health.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't think that I would be able to sustain the season I'm in.
Yeah.
If I had the same eating habits, if I had the same workout habits, if I had the same whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm waiting for my body to reflect those things. But right now, it's like if I had that then, I would not be able to sustain right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd be lethargic, I'd be exhausted all the time. Now, I'm tired, but I'm not like lethargic. I have energy, I have the brain power, I have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have the vibrancy to be able to, like, handle all the tasks, all the responsibilities I'm handling right now. You know, if I said, oh, I really value like real peace and real unity in my marriage, but then I wasn't really willing to do the work to actually value that 2 years, 3 years ago, last year, you know, like Jody and I were having really hard conversations through my pregnancy where I was like, he was just really busy. He was running both ends. He was doing full-time ministry and then also was building this business. And I remember being like, man, I'm really alone through this right now, and I feel very alone. I even think I talked about that in the last podcast. I feel very alone in like this first stage, but not because he was absent, because he was saying, no, I believe in leaving a legacy for my family. I believe in supporting my family in this way. So he had to actually back it up, and that it would put tension there. But if I didn't really, what I'm saying is, if I didn't really like go through I can. Where the rubber meets the road, I can say it did, and I value my marriage because we had the hard conversations, and it did not create a wedge between us. It actually brought us incredibly close together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like right now, our marriage could not sustain where we're at if we didn't go through those things and choose to like, no, we're going to believe 100% the best about each other. Yeah. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's been like, I feel like I'm grateful for where we are right now. And I think even the last podcast, I was like having a hard moment, a hard day. And I'm grateful for those moments because it's like where I have to work out, like, no, I really do believe this is good. No, I really do believe that this is like right.
Well, you're looking at this season where you're talking about him ordering, and you're finding your hope in the testimony of all the places he's previously ordered you. Yeah. In these big ways.
Oh, yeah.
To find the faith needed to stay true and to the day-to-day ordering that he's doing right now. Yeah. I keep thinking about, this is from a little bit earlier on when you were speaking, but I regularly reference this book, Practicing His Presence, by Brother Lawrence. My principal in Catholic school was Brother Robert Lawrence. Oh. So every time I go to say that author, I can't remember if it's Brother Robert or Brother Lawrence.
That's funny.
But I was just thinking about this idea of like, we have to host his presence from moment to moment. Like that's what you're practicing. Yeah. Is really finding his presence from moment to moment and letting that be the priority. Yep. I feel like we're both in very different ways. Like that's what we're both trying to do with our lives right now.
That's so good.
It's just...
Well, and what's one thing that I'd forgotten about. It was kind of like you in the last podcast just talked about like prophesying over yourself, and it's like, oh, whoa, I forgot about that tool. Probably in the spring, I remembered that I used to, like when I sat with Jesus, I used to genuinely like in my mind imagine him and like sitting with me. And I mean, I think we've talked about this here before, but I'm a worship pastor, so I lead worship on Sunday mornings every week, pretty much every week. And
except for the one
Sunday. except for the one Sunday that I was supposed to back off, but we're working on it. Anyways, but I started practicing this, and once I started practicing it again more intentionally, I'm finding that I'm like more connected. Okay, so I'll say this. I remember being like, I actually think it was like on one of the first beach vacations that you and I went on, that our families went on together.
Before we were actually friends.
We
were pretend friends.
We've got to talk about that. But anyways, that's so funny. Okay, I was just telling somebody about that. I can't get distracted. God, but Mills and Levi were like 2.
I think they were real friends.
I think they were very much real friends. The cutest little boys. Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay. So I remember being in a really hard spot. I felt like I was in a hard spot with Jody and I on that trip, and I think I was probably like didn't know how to be on that trip in a tension point with him. But I was there, and I remember sitting on the front porch and it was like a really short little moment, And I was like, Jesus, I just like need you to show up like right now. And I just like, in my imagination just saw him. He was like this salt and pepper haired hippie Jesus with like blue jeans and no shoes and like a linen shirt, and he was just like smiling and happy and was with me and like just assured me that like my marriage is gonna make it. And I practiced seeing him that way for a while, and then in the spring the Lord, like, I was sitting on my front porch again, and he was like, I want you to like, and he was like, remember whenever you used to like see me? And I was like, oh yeah. And so I sat there, and then my dogs were going to the bathroom, and I was just sitting on the front porch, and I just like closed my eyes, and man, there he was, this like hippie Jesus. And it was Monday morning, so like I had done this very deep spiritual thing Sunday morning, right? And then Monday morning, and I was like, he said, don't you like me Monday morning? And I was like, oh, Monday morning Jesus is like, oh, I could cry, because like Sunday morning Jesus, he is king. You know what I mean? Like he is like, he is King Jesus, and his people are coming in, and it's like this like procession, and it's this pomp and circumstance, not in like a pious way, but in like in a religious way, but in like he is sovereign, he's king, you know, in a genuine way, and like he is receiving the worship of his people, he's ministering to them, and that's him. And it was, I'd realized like that's how I'd been relating to him. And then it was like, but Monday morning Jesus, he's still king, but he's just taking his crown and his robe off, and he was just like hanging out with me.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were like sitting together, and I was like, oh wow. And he started talking to me about each one of my kids individually, things that I was frustrated with one of them about, that like he just spoke to me so strongly on, and I was just like weeping about it, and I got to tell them that day, and they both, my boys, started like crying when I was telling them about like what I heard from the Lord that morning about them. And so I've been carrying that with me, and like even this morning, my Aletha woke up, or my daughter Magnolia went to bed last night kind of not feeling good, and so she slept like in the bed with us, and then Aletha woke up this morning with a major blowout. And because she had just eaten like chicken for the first time last night. But she was happy, okay? She woke up, and I woke up, and I was like groggy, and was like waking up to change her diaper, and I just kind of saw him leaning against my daughter's bed, and just like had his arms kind of folded, and like leaned back with his like legs crossed. It was just like, kids, you know. And I was just like, and I'm just feeling him present with me right now in that, you know. And when I see him, like when just before I left to come here today, he's like catching an attitude about school, and he like is not bothered by his attitude, you know. Like, so it's like that ordering of like, I want to carry that presence of Jesus, where like I can correct and direct the attitude and all that stuff, but I'm not like offended. Yeah.
Or like needing to nitpick it constantly, because Jesus is not like,
he's not nitpicking them
constantly. Calling out every little thing. Good gracious.
If he did, God, we would not have any of the heroes of our faith.
No, thank God.
They get to be remembered as heroes because he doesn't nitpick them.
Right.
You know, like major screw ups who only are remembered as David. Like, I'm reading David again, and I'm like, I don't like him.
The last 2 years when I read through the Bible, I read other stories, and I'm like, how did David
be the one?
How did he get the gold star? Because let's just be honest, Bathsheba won it. Like, that ain't his only. He did. Everybody acts like David was this amazing guy, and then like had this one little moment. No.
He had
a lot of and issues. Like he had a lot of great moments too. And I can totally get up and give.
And I can tell you
the award speech for David.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yes, thank God for God.
Yeah, because he doesn't nitpick, and so
it's mercy, right?
It's mercy. So I'm like, he's ordering my heart to just value what he values, and to not sweat the small stuff, and to not carry the worries that he doesn't have for me to carry. You know, and then I have to be careful. And I need to wrap this up, but then I need to be careful, because then like when he does call me to action, I don't want to get used to just being like, oh no, God's got it.
Well, it's like you said, you said always king, but as you're talking, what I'm thinking is, well, every time he's with you, he's still holy.
Every time, yeah.
So you're carrying his companionship and his holiness all at the same time.
Right.
And so you have to be ready, you know, like as a mom, I can be really fun, and I can also be really disciplinary, and like I want to be all the things all the time, but there's different parts of my persona that have to kind of come to the forefront in different circumstances with my kids. And I feel like Jesus does that with us.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when it's time for me to say, I need you to get your shoes on and get in the car, I need my kids, even if we're having a dance party, when it's time to transition out of that and get their shoes on and get in the car, I need to know that they're going to be willing to trust me and transition with me. Now, I get to steward that transition. And I feel like Jesus does give us that opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm thinking as you're saying that is like, you want to... He didn't lose his crown. He just might have taken it off. Like
said. He just like set it to the side for just a second.
Yeah, like kings don't walk around always with their crown on. At least not in the fiction books I'm reading.
In the fiction books that you're reading.
All right,
Yes.
in the middle of it.
In the middle of it. It's been a good one.
Yep.
Right in the middle of it, right in the middle of it, that's where you'll be found. Right in the middle of it, deep in the center of it, that's where you are now. You'll be right